Most missing person cases begin the same way. Someone fails to return home. A phone stops answering. A family reports a disappearance. The forgotten passenger case began differently. The missing person was witnessed by more than 200 people. Their presence was documented by security cameras. Their train ticket was scanned and recorded. Multiple passengers spoke with them during the journey. Then, within hours, those same witnesses began forgetting they had ever existed. By the end of the week, only a handful of people remembered the missing passenger at all. Today, investigators still cannot explain how someone could disappear from reality while leaving behind evidence that they were once there.
The incident occurred on March 18th, 2014, aboard the Eastbound Line 7 commuter service. The train travelled between the cities of Briars Point and Hollow Creek, a route used daily by thousands of passengers. The journey typically lasted just under 3 hours. Nothing unusual was reported during boarding. Security footage showed passengers arriving normally, tickets were scanned, luggage was stored. The train departed on schedule at 6:05 p.m. According to surviving records, one of the passengers boarded at Briars Point Station carrying a small black suitcase. The individual purchased a valid ticket using cash less than 20 minutes before departure. The name listed on the ticket no longer exists in any surviving database. Every attempt to recover it has failed.
Archived records show only corrupted text where the passenger's information should appear. Investigators initially assumed this was a technical error. That assumption would not last long. The first indication that something was wrong came approximately 90 minutes into the journey. Several passengers later reported noticing an individual seated alone in car 4. Witness descriptions varied slightly, but certain details remained consistent. The passenger appeared to be an adult between 30 and 40 years old. They wore a dark coat, they carried a black suitcase, and they seemed unusually anxious. At the time, nothing about this behavior appeared significant. The train continued without incident. Passengers read books, used phones, and spoke quietly among themselves. No emergency calls were made, no disturbances were reported. The situation changed shortly after 7:40 p.m. A woman seated near the center of car 4 approached a conductor and reported that a passenger appeared confused. According to her statement, the individual had repeatedly asked what station the train was approaching.
His account would later become one of the most important pieces of evidence in the investigation. The conductor stated that the passenger appeared frightened. They repeatedly asked whether anyone else on the train remembered them. Assuming the person was experiencing a medical issue, he attempted to calm them. The passenger then asked a second question. "Have you noticed people forgetting me?" The conductor reportedly laughed. He assumed it was a joke. Within 24 hours, he would struggle to remember the encounter at all. The train arrived at Hollow Creek Station at 8:58 p.m. Passengers exited normally. Security footage recorded hundreds of individuals leaving the platform. Among them was the passenger carrying the black suitcase. At least, that is what investigators initially believed. The following morning, a station employee reviewing footage noticed something unusual. The passenger appeared to walk toward the terminal exit, then disappeared from view. Not behind another person, not behind an object, simply gone. Frame-by-frame analysis confirmed the anomaly. In one frame, the passenger was present. In the next, they were not. No visual transition occurred. No obstruction blocked the camera. The individual simply ceased to appear. Investigators initially suspected video corruption. Then witness interviews began. Several passengers remembered speaking with the individual during the journey. Others recalled seeing them seated in car 4. A few remembered details of their appearance. However, as interviews continued, memories became inconsistent. Witnesses who had previously described conversations suddenly claimed they had never spoken to anyone. Others became uncertain about basic details. One passenger changed her statement 3 times within 48 hours. A week later, she claimed she had never seen the individual at all. This pattern repeated across nearly every interview. The more time passed, the less people remembered. Detectives initially suspected memory contamination caused by media coverage, yet the phenomenon extended beyond witnesses. Records associated with the passenger began changing. The original ticket purchase remained documented. However, the passenger name became unreadable. Security logs referencing the individual developed unexplained errors. Archived platform records lost identifying information. Photographs became corrupted. In several cases, investigators found evidence that files had once contained additional data. The data itself was gone. The strangest examples involved written statements. Multiple witnesses had provided detailed descriptions during the first day of the investigation. When those same statements were reviewed later, entire sections appeared missing. Pages remained physically intact. No signs of editing were discovered. The information had simply vanished. By the second week, the investigation was already collapsing. Detectives struggled to maintain a consistent timeline. Witnesses no longer trusted their own memories. Several officers assigned to the case requested reassignment. One investigator described an unusual experience during an internal report. According to his statement, he repeatedly forgot why he had entered the evidence room. Every time he reviewed materials connected to the passenger, details seemed to slip away. He began leaving notes for himself. The notes helped temporarily. Then even the notes became confusing. The report ends with a handwritten sentence. "If this continues, I won't remember why I'm writing this." 3 days later, he requested removal from the case. Researchers examining surveillance footage discovered another anomaly. The passenger did not appear to interact normally with cameras. In some recordings, they appeared slightly blurred, despite standing still. In others, they seemed darker than surrounding subjects. Most concerning was footage captured during boarding. Several frames showed nearby individuals glancing directly toward the passenger. Yet moments later, those same people appeared confused, as though they had forgotten seeing someone there. The effect was subtle, easy to miss, but once noticed, it appeared repeatedly. The passenger seemed to leave an impression that immediately faded. As public interest grew, amateur investigators began examining archived train records. One group uncovered a series of unusual reports spanning nearly 3 decades. The reports described similar incidents aboard trains across the country. In each case, witnesses described a passenger who gradually became difficult to remember. The details varied. Different locations, different years, different appearances. Yet the pattern remained remarkably consistent. The passenger always traveled alone. The passenger always appeared anxious. And shortly before disappearing, the passenger always asked a question. Do you still remember me? Authorities never established a connection between the cases. Officially, they remain unrelated. Privately, several investigators disagreed. The strongest evidence emerged 6 months after the incident. A digital forensic specialist recovered partially corrupted audio from a maintenance camera inside car 4. The recording contained ambient train noise and fragments of conversation. Most of the audio was unusable. One section, however, remained intact. The voice is believed to belong to the missing passenger. The recording lasts only 9 seconds. The passenger can be heard saying, "It's happening faster this time." A second voice asks what they mean. The response is partially obscured by interference. Only the final words are clear. Before the last station. No explanation for the statement was ever found. The phrase raised uncomfortable questions, particularly the word faster. Faster than what? Investigators searched for answers. None emerged. Then came the final discovery. During a review of archived railway blueprints, engineers identified a section of track where multiple onboard systems had briefly malfunctioned during the journey. The location corresponded almost exactly with the point where witnesses first reported unusual behavior from the passenger. The stretch of track passed through an abandoned tunnel beneath the northern ridge outside Hollow Creek. The tunnel had been constructed decades earlier and was no longer in regular use. Maintenance crews inspected the structure. Nothing unusual was found, at least officially. Unofficial reports tell a different story. Several workers claimed to discover names carved into the tunnel walls. Hundreds of names. Many appeared partially erased, others were completely unreadable. According to one worker, a single phrase appeared repeatedly throughout the tunnel. The phrase was found near entrances, maintenance alcoves, and service corridors. Every instance contained the same message. Please remember me. The markings were allegedly photographed. No copies of those photographs have ever surfaced. The tunnel was sealed several months later. Rail authorities cited structural concerns. No further explanation was provided. Today, the forgotten passenger remains one of the most unusual missing person investigations ever recorded. No identity has been confirmed, no body has been recovered, no explanation accounts for the disappearing memories. Most witnesses remember nothing at all. Others recall only fragments. A face they cannot describe, a conversation they cannot fully remember, a feeling that someone was sitting nearby, then wasn't. There is one final detail. Years after the case was closed, a retired investigator reopened an evidence box connected to the incident. Inside, he found a note written in his own handwriting. He had no memory of writing it. The paper contained only a single sentence. No date, no context, no explanation. The message read, "If you're reading this, you've already forgotten them." Beneath the sentence was an empty space, a blank line where a name should have been. No one knows whose name was written there. No one knows when it disappeared. And if the passenger truly existed, there may come a time when nobody remembers them at all, except perhaps the person still riding somewhere beyond the last station, waiting to be remembered again.